And welcome to Proline, direct from Las Vegas. I'm Dave Koch and joined by Jim Feist. We're going to take a look ahead at week 2 of the college football campaign, coming off an unbelievably exciting week 1. The NFL kicks off this week with a Super Bowl rematch. We're going to take a look at the Panthers, Broncos 2, if you want to call it that. And then Sunday's action. Well, obviously, week 1 of the NFL is going to be awesome. First, Jim, if people subscribe to the channel, it's free. And they get lots of other great stuff for free as well.
Absolutely, Dave. They get a lot of great stuff. Go to ProlineTV.com. Click on the subscribe button, and you'll get information, notifications, and new videos. Plus, you'll be sent a code to get 7 days of my service absolutely free. That's ProlineTV.com.
All right, so some good stuff to tell you about. The baseball's been terrific lately. I'm having a really good stretch run in baseball, which is not surprising. I usually do well at this time of year. College football, spotty in the first week. The UCLA game really hurt me. The dog in overtime, which you never want, and that game stung me. The NFL last week wrapped up the preseason with a terrific week, including a big play on the Eagles. 6 days of football and baseball with me for just $39. Get plays every day, and I've got my college football game of the month going on Saturday. You want to definitely, I really like this play a lot. I think it's an unusual set of circumstances. Can't tell you any more than that, but this game's going to win, and I think it's going to win by a pretty good margin. 855-472-2577 is the number to call. If you haven't called yet for one of these offers, take advantage of this one. It's going to make you some money. Jim, you're off an 11-3 college football weekend, 3-0 on the high rollers. Bama, South Alabama, and a great call in Wisconsin as they knock off LSU outright. 73-35, the baseball high roller run, and you got 5 days of football for peanuts.
Peanuts.
Well, not literally peanuts, but
raisins and peanuts.
There you go.
Raisins.
Trail mix.
Trail mix. That's right. 5 days of football, $49. That will include my first college football game of the year release. That play alone is $99. That's $99 online. My NFL preseason game of the year was 2 weeks ago. Underdog Eagles beating the Colts 33-23. And this is another monster winner. 5 days of football, $49. Just call 866-546-9467.
All right, so let's talk some football.
Let's do it.
And here's an interesting set of circumstances for a game this weekend. We got Virginia Tech taking on Tennessee.
At a racetrack.
They've built a football field at Bristol Motor Speedway. I saw the picture of it. There's going to be 150,000 people there. I guess this is going to be the most attended. They're going to break a record for attendance. ESPN Game Day is going to be down there, and that's a big deal. If you watched the game at Lambeau, or what led up to the game at Lambeau last week between LSU and Wisconsin, I mean, Wisconsin was obviously, the team's fired up because they're reflecting the excitement of the fans. The fans were crazy. I mean, they're always revved up in Wisconsin, and Camp Randall's always been a great home field. But that was a bigger home field last week than they normally have for Wisconsin.
Well, they actually played in Lambeau last week.
Right, I know.
Is why these kids, they dream all year long. And the quarterback, even after the game, he talked about what it was like to play in Lambeau.
Yep.
And, now granted, they couldn't do all of the Lambeau leap and all that stuff. They're not supposed to do that, NCAA and all those rules. But that was a big deal to play where Brett Favre played and all that stuff. It was big for them, and that's one of my plays last week, and it really worked out great.
All right, so now you've got another unusual circumstance. Tennessee's coming off a bad game against Appalachian State. Yep. They were lucky to win the game because, kind of a fluky play in the overtime. Excuse me, and they got there. But they did get there. That's the main thing. So they're not going to be hanging their heads. And I'm sure that they got a little wake-up call in that game. They were looking ahead to this. Virginia Tech's a lot bigger name opponent than Appalachian State. You've got the circumstances surrounding the game. Now, the Virginia Tech's more of the unknown quantity here because they've got a new quarterback, new head coach. They had a good first game.
And a new style.
Yep.
Totally.
Good first game against Liberty, but it's Liberty.
Yeah.
Generally, I like to look at and I'm not locking this in, okay? I'm not telling you that I'm okay, this is a play, go for it. I generally like to go against first-time starters on the road. And the kid under center for Virginia Tech, he's a junior college transfer, put up great numbers in junior college last year, and he played very well last week, but still, he's going from playing Liberty in Blacksburg to this insanity. He could make some mistakes in this game. It's in the number. Look, Tennessee's a big favorite in the game.
First of all, it's not home court. It's not home field. It's a neutral field. Yes, it's in the state, but they're not on their campus. They're not in their stadiums. It's quote unquote neutral. So let's say it's a neutral advantage Tennessee, but it's not their field, and it isn't even a football field.
No.
Okay, it's a racetrack that they built the football field on. So there's a lot of little things that can go wrong with that.
They could slip on some oil out there.
That might be a
no,
problem.
they'll cover that.
You know, you have to as the cars go around the track, you got to touch them. It might be a little noisy. It's going to be interesting to watch it, but the key here to this game is it opened 10. It's up to 11.5 and 12. Tennessee's the favorite, of course. On a semi-neutral field, that's a lot of points. I'm not getting involved in the game side of it at the moment. The total, 54. Under was the original favorite. Now it's 54.5 or 55. I do think with the style of Virginia Tech, a little bit more up-tempo than what they were used to in the past. Tennessee coming off the bad game where they might have been looking ahead. I hope for their sake they were looking ahead, because if that's how they're going to play, they're not going to do very well. I do think they're overrated coming into the season, but this we're going to tell here. This is a big one for them to bounce back and actually play a football game the way they're supposed to. So I'm going over the total in this game, Dave.
Now, the other team from that fine state of Virginia, which is the University of Virginia, they will make a long trip to the West Coast to face Oregon. And Bronco Mendenhall is the new coach for the Cavaliers, and he has his work cut out for them because work cut out for him, I should say.
4-8 last year.
Well, and their defense was atrocious. And guess what? It looks like it might still be atrocious because they got run all over the place last week in an ugly game. Obviously, Mendenhall was not brought in to win one right away. He's got to build that program, which has been pretty bad for a while. This is a tough task.
Coast-to-coast trip, going east to west, against an Oregon team that can put up a lot of points. I mean, last year they averaged, I think, 43 points a game. This team can put up a ton of points. Now, you might look at Virginia being the total 68, went up, and now it's up to 70.5. The line on the game, 22.5 up to 24.5. There's only two things I could do with this game. The only thing I could do with this game is play the favorite and play the over. Might be a parlay, favorite and over. I mean, it's not my favorite game, but since we're talking about it, I have to point that out. Oregon's going to put up a lot of points here.
Well, they're going to run the no huddle, and Virginia's their defense is just not good.
The other thing you can look at here is if you can, you might look at the team total for Oregon, and very easily they could go over the team total and not have to worry about what Virginia can put up. That's another angle that you can possibly play this.
Yeah, Prukup, I guess is his name, is now the quarterback
Yeah.
for Oregon. He's not going to be Vernon.
Senior transfer.
Yeah, he's not going to be Vernon Adams, but he looks like he's a good field general. They put up a bunch of points last week. Obviously, it wasn't against an FBS opponent, but does Virginia have an FBS quality defense? No, not based on last year, and not based on what did they give up? 524 yards to Richmond. That's not real good.
No, this Oregon could put up 800 yards.
Well, I mean,
if they
to
want
me,
to.
If I haven't bet the game, and I probably am not going to because I think the numbers are both pretty good. But if I were going, my strategy here, if the game is an under, then let me put it this way: I think Virginia's only chance to cover is to turn it into a shootout. They're not going to stop Oregon, so they have to go up and down the field themselves. And I think they may as well come in and have some. Mendenhall may as well have some fun with them. because they're not under any pressure.
It's
So
it's not a division game.
no,
I mean, they're way out west, 3,000 miles
I would
from
take
home.
the over.
I already told you what I did. I got the favorite and the over in the game.
Yeah. Well, we're in agreement then.
Yes, we are.
Okay. If you want to ask us any Vegas sports wagering question or Nevada sports wagering question, we don't want to, the whole state gambles. Go to ProlineTV.com. Drop us a question. It doesn't cost anything. And speaking of not costing anything, make sure to hit the subscribe button to get 7 days of action free.
That's right. Plus, go to JimFeist.com for free stats, videos, fast facts, and plays from the nation's leading handicappers.
That sounds good.
Might as well do it.
All right.
I think I'll go there now.
We have some NFL we're going to look at. And I can't wait for the NFL to begin.
Well, this is when the party starts. I mean, we all love football. We all love college football. But the NFL is king. And that's what everybody's waiting for.
All right, so we'll start by looking at the big game between the Panthers and Broncos. All right, the NFL is back again, and what an unusual set of circumstances for the very first game of the season as the Carolina Panthers and Denver Broncos, who had the matchup last year in a lousy Super Bowl. It's a good result for us. We both did well in the game, but, let's face it, it wasn't a very exciting game. I'm not sure this is going to be that exciting either, but it is the Super Bowl champions as home dogs against the team they beat in the Super Bowl.
With a rookie quarterback
Yeah.
that's taken one snap in regulation play.
Different.
John Elway, if you can get away with this one and take them back to the playoffs and possibly win some games in the playoffs, hats off to you, brother. But this is really something.
You know what? Nobody wins 2 in a row anyway. And the Broncos, as far as I'm concerned, the Broncos might already be looking toward 2017.
Yeah, but I mean they've got a solid defense.
Yep.
I mean I don't think they're thinking that.
Oh, no,
You-
no.
they're
But I'm
not.
saying the reality of it is Denver's not going to repeat, okay? And that's not a slam on Denver. It's just nobody repeats in the NFL. You're the hunted every week during the regular season, and it has a tendency to take its toll. When's the last time somebody won back-to-back Super Bowls? I don't even know when it is now.
Well, it doesn't happen too often.
No, sure
that's
doesn't.
it. I mean,
So,
maybe
and
you
the Broncos
go
are-
back into the 70s or something.
They accomplished their objective last year, and obviously they're going to try and do the same thing again, but they're not the best team this season. Carolina is the team, to me, with tremendous incentive here. They want to get back to the Super Bowl and prove that what happened last year shouldn't have happened. Now, whether they can do that or not, I don't know, but they certainly look like the better football team here. It doesn't mean I'm recommending Carolina because the Broncos have a great defense. They're going to be fired up playing at home. And Super Bowl hangovers generally don't really occur until, and you can't lock this in, but Super Bowl hangovers don't usually happen the first week.
Teams that lose the Super Bowl
Yes.
are terrible.
Yes.
Coming out of the gate, and usually their whole year is messed
Yep.
up. Now this is a team that was embarrassed last year because they played terrible in the Super Bowl. It was, as you said earlier, a terrible Super Bowl. You had a quarterback from Denver that couldn't complete a pass. I mean, terrible ratings all year long. It was atrocious. But this team was part of that, and that was not in Denver.
No.
Okay, that was Santa Clara, I think it was. How often do you get a Super Bowl champion starting the season with an totally inexperienced quarterback that has never taken one snap in a regular season game, and they're a home underdog? And I believe when they're a dog, last year they were 3-0, straight up, and against the spread. Denver, we're talking about.
Yep.
It's too good a team to be
Well,
disrespecting
but
them.
the argument against that is you've got a quarterback whose entire NFL career consists of taking a knee on one play. He did that well. He got the snap from center, he took the knee, and it was like, that was pretty good.
You know, I've seen you do that. You do it well, too.
No, that's about, I couldn't even do that. Because by the time I got the ball, somebody on the defensive line would have crushed me already. And I'd be dead.
I think this is a defensive game.
I think so, too.
You're going to see a lot of running. Cam Newton did not play well in that Super Bowl. He refuses to even watch the tape or talk about it, embarrassed. He's a talented guy. But this defense that Denver has and the schemes they run and the coaches know what to do. And they figured something out last year It should carry over. I'm not so sure that Carolina should be the favorite.
No,
in this game.
and that is the interesting thing, and that's why I mean, gun to head, I'd take Denver, and the reason for that is this: can Simeon be any worse than what they had at quarterback last year?
There's no drop off
The team won a Super Bowl
without a quarterback.
They didn't even get 200 yards in offense. That never. I think that was the lowest yardage total ever. It was 194 yards.
It was by far the worst Super Bowl ever.
It was a Colts Super Bowl years back. I think it was 13-7 or something like Jim O'Brien. I think it was Baltimore, Cincinnati, maybe. It was an awful game. Then there was some slaughters. Last year's game was at least interesting in that it was close and you didn't know it was going to win.
Right.
It was a bad football game. You know, Cam Newton last year, 18 for 41, 265 yards. He got sacked 6 times in the game. It was an awful game. So you know he's going to be fired up for this game, but I don't know if they win on the road at Denver.
He's still facing a very difficult
hell
defense
yeah.
that mastered him last year in that Super Bowl. How do you go from there to being now at that team's home field? And I think the key, Dave, is what you said. There's really no drop-off with this because Manning was terrible and Simeon is not going to be worse.
No, I mean he can be worse if he makes a bunch of mistakes and
they're not going to let him. They're not going to let him do that.
But that's and so, you know, I guess you could say I lean Denver. But the stronger lean. And I don't like the number.
41,
so I'm not going to bet it. It's
41 and a half is a very low number.
It's already been beat up. I think it was 43, wasn't it?
It was 43.
So
I thought,
you're not. Let me just say that this is an important lesson to me to pass along for the season. Don't bet bad numbers, okay? If you have a bet that you like, and the game was 43, and you didn't get it in, I don't know, being stubborn and playing an under 41, you do that over the course of a season, you're going to lose money. You just can't bet beat-up lines.
This is a national TV game. It's the first game of the year. Everybody wants to have something going on in the game. Okay, so let's get creative. Okay. How about a 2-team teaser in the same game?
Okay. And NFL teasers, unlike college teasers, which are a stupid bet, NFL teasers, we know they can be good bets.
They can. Well, how about if you took the under, which would take it to 47.5.
All right.
And you took what I'd do is, if in that case, I'd take +9.
Yes.
With Denver. So I'd take
I don't think they're going to
+9.
get blown out at home.
Right. The +9 with Denver, under 47.5.
All right.
Teaser play. So what I'm saying here, there may not be a great bet in the game because there's a lot of factors we don't know about with the rookie quarterback. And then we don't know if Cam Newton can bounce back and have a more reasonable game than he had last year against the same defense that really he chopped him up.
He could he could be forcing the issue and make some mistakes there.
Right. On paper, Carolina's a better team because they have an offense that you can actually know a little bit about. And they had a great record last year as well. And they did come into the Super Bowl favored last year.
Yes, they did. And I'm glad they did because I took the points.
So what I'm saying here, if you're looking to bet the game and you don't have a real strong opinion of your own, teaser, Denver and under. Not bad.
No, that's not bad at all.
+9, under 47.5.
That's not the only game on the NFL schedule. It's just the Thursday night game. We got Sunday games to look at. We're going to come back and look at 2 of the Sunday matchups. I think they're 2 of the most interesting games on the board. A lot of intrigue involved in both these games. Bucs and Falcons might not be talking about playoff teams, but I think that's a really fascinating divisional matchup. And this really is an interesting game because of, the quarterback injury on one side and the new coach on the other team that kind of underachieved last year, and they can't stand each other. Cowboys, Giants coming up as well. Well, we're going to look at a couple of NFL games. Divisional matchups in Week 1, to me, are the most interesting, so we're going to get to those games. But first, viewers can get free plays from us right to their cell phone. There's nothing easier, Jim.
That's right, Dave. Just text GAME, G-A-M-E, to 25827. You'll get a free play right to your cell phone. It's easy as that. GAME, G-A-M-E, 25827.
All right, so let's take a look at some divisional action on week one. We've got divisional showdowns in Atlanta and Dallas. We're going to concentrate on the first one, being the Bucs and the Falcons. And you go back to the beginning of the 2015 season, and the Atlanta Falcons were the surprise team out of the gate. 4-0, looked really good, according to some people, and then according to others, and I don't always get them right, but I did get this one right. I'm sitting there going, this team's a complete fraud. They were getting lucky in the fourth quarter. And then the luck ran out, and they weren't very good after that. And I don't think they're very good this year. I think the Bucs are a better football team right now than Atlanta, and I think the Bucs have a great chance to go in and win this game. I really like what I'm seeing out of Jameis Winston. I think Dirk Cutter is going to be an upgraded head coach. And while I think Atlanta has some things that are definitely positive, one of them might not be Matty Ice, who,
that's where
I'm telling you, he's
that's
leveled
where
off.
I was going with this. What happened to this guy? He comes out of college. I mean, he just looked like he could do it all.
Yeah.
And he has really fallen off. Really bad.
Yeah.
Fallen off.
It's
not
almost like
Kaepernick bad, but bad.
No. But he's gone from being a guy who was, you'd have the discussions of the best quarterbacks in the league, and
Yeah.
Ryan wouldn't be on that list, but he'd be right off that list.
Right.
He was, you got your maybe big 4 or 5, and then he'd be in that next group. He's nowhere near that group right now. He's kind of sunk to, I think he's below the cut line. If you get 32 teams in the league.
Bottom 15?
I think he's probably at the top of that level, but that's not very good.
I mean, 21 TDs, 16 interceptions, 4,500 yards, 30 sacks.
That's not great.
I don't have the rushes and stuff like that. I mean, they lost a great tight end a couple of years ago. He retired. They got Julio Jones.
Well, he's amazing.
Yeah, Freeman. There's a lot of positives about the Falcons, but there's a lot of question marks about this quarterback. Now, where can they go? This is not a very strong division. And when you talk about football players, they all want to get to the playoffs. They want to be representative. They want to feel proud of what they're doing every week. They don't want to lose every week. They don't want to be embarrassed. This is a division that's, you got one team in it that's good, and the rest of them are kind of bad or marginal.
Well, but I'll throw one thing in on Tampa. It's an interesting stat. What they did last year was, I think, inexperience showed. They moved up and down the field. They just didn't convert the yards into points. So what you had was a team that was, I believe, number 5 overall in yards and number 20 overall in points. Now, I think with another year of with a full year of experience under his belt, and I think he definitely displayed a lot more maturity, I think Jameis Winston starts to turn those yards into points this season. And I'm not putting Tampa in the playoffs or anything like that, but they look to me to be a team that can move up. They're in a division where, obviously Carolina's the favorite in the division, but outside of that, I think Tampa could be the second best team in that division. I think they could be better than the Saints and the Falcons, and this is a big game for them.
There's a lot of people that agree with you about this team being the second team in this division. There's no question that Drew Brees, Matty Ice, they're falling back. Winston is the up-and-coming kid in the division along with Cam Newton, so they could be 1 and 2. But you have, an inexperienced head coach. You do have a new coach. You got Dan Quinn on the other side, who's they were last year. Atlanta was 8-8, 2-10 against the spread.
In the last 12 games after the 4-0 start, 2-10 against the number.
Yep, that's right. Under the total, 22-5. Who would think of that?
Well,
you
got a quarterback who can't finish off drives anymore.
That's right.
That'll keep games under.
They did add Mohamed Sanu.
Like him, he's a 3.
Yeah, and that's important.
But here's the thing: if they are looking to use him as the 2, I don't think he's a good number 2 receiver. I think he's a 3. I kind of size up receivers almost like starting pitchers, where they get slots. You get your number 1 guys, your number 2 guys, and your 3s who are good players, but if you put them in a featured role, they're not. And I think that's what Sanu is. I thought he fit that role nicely in Cincinnati. If he's going to be asked to do more in Atlanta, I don't know if he's up to that.
Well, we will find out.
Yes, we will.
These are two teams that I would not lay points with either one of these teams if they're favored. That's bottom line. But as an underdog, either one of these teams could be dangerous because you always have, when you have quarterbacks that can throw the ball, you got receivers that can catch them, you always have that backdoor cover issue. But as a favorite, Falcons are 5-11 ATS at home versus Tampa. History. That's history. That doesn't always work when you carry it over to present day. But it's interesting to look at the negatives of these teams. Dog or no one. How about the total? I'd probably go with the under. I think we're going to see some underplay here, at least in the first week.
Could be.
You know, I go back to this. I think it was Bill Belichick said it last year, if not the previous year. He said, under the new collective bargaining agreement, where you can't hit and can't wear pads and you can only practice this much, when the season starts, these teams aren't really ready to play. And they had their dress rehearsal in week 3 of the preseason last week, hardly meaningless to anybody. So now you're coming in that they're really not ready to play football. So you're not going to see the real teams start to develop. You know, barring injuries, teams will develop by about the 3rd week of the regular season, in my opinion, unless it's an unusual situation.
Now, speaking of unusual situations, we have one in the Giants-Cowboys game.
Yes, we do.
And it's obviously, Tony Romo is not going to be playing. Dak Prescott is. They brought in Mark Sanchez. I got that right. I knew they were going to get Sanchez. He'll be there to kind of coach up the kid, and he's there in case of an emergency. If Sanchez is on the field, it's not good for the Cowboys. This is exciting. They don't like each other. The Giants are hoping they can get some kind of rebound off of. It was an ugly 2015. They gave away games with horrible clock management, made a lot of mistakes. They just weren't very good. And the Cowboys, well, we know what's happened with them with the injury situation, and guess what? The injury situation is already back. I'm not ready to crown Dak Prescott Rookie of the Year. He had a great training camp, but I don't know if that's going to convert itself to the regular season. I mean, he's going to be facing much more sophisticated defenses than anything he saw in the preseason, and I'm very curious to see how he responds.
You know, it slips my mind. Who's the defensive coordinator for the Giants?
Well, sure not Ben McAdoo.
It's just not. No, he's the head. He's the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I know.
Is now the head coach.
I know who it is.
You know, it's really.
Think of his
but
name.
that's the key to this game. Do you have a defense that can really disrupt a rookie quarterback? The Giants are really not known for being a very good defensive team. They were 32 in yards, number 32 in yards, number 30 in points, number 24 against the run. The one thing the Dallas Cowboys should be able to do against this team is run the football.
Yeah.
Dak is very athletic. He can move around very well. He throws the ball well. But are the Giants going to be able to put up schemes and blitzes and disguise their defenses enough to confuse this kid? Is Garrett smart enough to cut back the playbook and keep him safe? Normally, a Giants-Cowboys game is almost an automatic overbet, especially in Dallas. Dallas, 10-25-1 ATS at home.
Yeah, and 7 straight Giants-Cowboys games at Dallas have gone over.
Yes. But I can't.
But, you know, it's a different
This
set
is
of
a different
circumstances.
situation.
Yeah.
You have this rookie quarterback that they shouldn't let go crazy with. I mean, what's he going to get, 24 points? So you get 30 points, and you're going to bet the game over. But they're very hard to read. I mean, these are very important games. When you talk about division games, you're really talking about the most important games of the year because you can get into the playoffs with a 7-9 record if you happen to win your division.
And look, I don't think that 7-9 will win the NFC East, but it's not a division where you're not going to have to go 12-4 to win that division.
Well, this
is a big game.
7-9 is possible in this division. Every team in this league, in this division, is very suspect.
There are some flawed teams. I
Yes.
think Washington might be the best of the bunch.
And they stepped into it last year
Yep.
because everybody else was banged up and hurt.
Yep.
Philadelphia's a mess. They're starting a rookie quarterback this week that nobody understands why, because he hardly played any preseason games. But the feeling is the head man, the owner, is telling the coaches, this is who we're starting. Anytime the owner starts dictating to the coaches, then you have a problem. Guaranteed cancer. And
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And you haven't heard me give a side or a total in this game because I don't have one, and I'm not going to just guess. I happen to like the NFL schedule. I love the NFL Week 1 schedule. I always do because I have a certain train of thought, and it actually, you could argue it's my favorite week of the season from a betting standpoint because I'll play a lot of games. This won't be one of them, but get some good stuff out there this weekend. And by the way, if you want to get free plays each day on a recorded message from the guys, we're supposed to be Vegas experts. Well, make the call and find out. 888-478-9222. And again, that's a recorded message, free plays every day.
And you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Jim Fice Sports. And feel free to send me a direct message with any questions you might have about products and services.
And so thanks for joining us. And we will see you next week with another edition of Proline. Have a good one.